apologize, I hadn't started recording. So let's go here back to the screen here. We have the intermittent wireless. Did we do this page yet? No. Someone help me out here with slide 10.
For some reason, I can't see your screen.
We did the intermittent wireless one.
We did?
Yeah, I can't see your screen either.
Try again, sharing. Let me stop the share. How about now? Does it come out?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So we did this one already. Yes, correct. All right. Ghost cursor. Would like to help me out with this one? Carlos?
Can you hear me?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm not wearing these anymore. All right. This don't work. All right. Hold on. Let me go down page. All right. Ghost cursors. Seeing double cursors, ghost cursor can be caused by a faulty trackpad that may be overheated. Set the laptop to hibernate or sleep when the lid closes. This may prevent a ghost cursor since most devices vent through the keyboard and will lock in heat if the lid is closed. Update the drivers of the trackpad. If either of those solutions do not work, disable the touchpad altogether and use an external mouse as a last resort. Pointer drift. The cursor is slowly drifting across the screen on its own. Change the settings in the display properties if multiple monitors are being used. Otherwise, it could be a software issue or user issue since the trackpad is sensitive and could be picking up on a hand or debris close to the pad.
Thank you. Anyone, any questions on that? All right. Next slide. DeAndre.
No power. Devices run on battery power when there is no AC power running between the outlet and the computer. Is the device plugged in or is it running on battery power? First, check if there is power coming from the wall outlet. Next, check the power adapter lights. If no lights appear on the adapter, it may be faulty. If no lights appear on the device, it could be the device. The power cord can become dislodged from the unit, so make sure everything is firmly connected. Before replacing the adapter, try plugging it into another outlet, then try using it in another device.
Thank you. Any questions on no power or issues with no power to the device? (13). We see here, we got the function key, the alt key, and you have your numpad. As I mentioned before, some of these keyboards are so condensed because they do not fit with the numpad. You'll notice that it actually has the capability of creating a 789 is over here, the 456, 1, 2, 3, and the 0. Typically, an unlock indicator has a little light. Sometimes they don't. For instance, I believe if I hit mine, I don't think it does anything. It doesn't have a little light. I don't have a light on my keyboard, so there's no way I can tell if the numlocks is on. So you need to obviously just toggle it, see if that actually dislodges or actually fixes the issue. If not, an external keyboard will be one way of fixing the issue for the user temporarily. But if they really need the light and there was a light before, I'm pretty sure that's not going to be approved very easily. So any questions or doubts on that slide? 14, Alexa.
Bluetooth uses radio waves instead of wires and cables to connect with the device. This technology is called pairing and is a wireless short-range communications technology standard. Bluetooth has a button to enable or disable it, so it is easy to inadvertently turn it off. First, let's check that Bluetooth is enabled by locating the button, which could be located on the SN button row, the side or back of the device. If it doesn't work, replacing the antenna might be the solution.
Thank you. Any questions in reference to Bluetooth? Sure you guys are familiar with Bluetooth. All right, slide 15. Christina, touchscreen issues.
Touchscreen issues. Tablets, smartphones, and other handhelds use a touchscreen instead of a keyboard using TouchFlow and multi-touch technology. TouchFlow, designed by HTC, this technology allows a finger to drag up/down and left and right to scroll on the screen. Multi-touch technology that recognizes multiple simultaneous touches on the screen. This allows for resizing of the screen. If the touchscreen has become non-responsive, first restart the device. Something could be conflicting the technology, and by restarting it, it clears the issue. This solution usually works to clear the issue. Also check the screen for cracks and to make sure the device has not gotten wet. Some devices have built-in diagnostics tools that can be tried if it is possible to access them.
Mm-hmm. How can I tell real quick if a device has been wet?
You mean like if you look inside it or just outside?
Without taking apart the device, how can I tell if it was wet? The device is given to me completely dry, and I'm not going to take it apart per se, but if there is something I can do. I'm sorry, DeAndre?
You can check like the camera fog, and there's also like these little panels that you can check like inside. See, they turn like pink.
Exactly. That's the guy who I'm looking for. See, not iPhones, obviously. I don't think iPhones, you can take out the battery. But if you grab your phone, if it's an Android phone or a Windows phone, you take it out. When you take out the battery, you'll notice a little pink will be showing if this was at all wet. I don't know if you saw it. Guys can see the battery. Can you see the battery? No, can't see the battery. That's horrible. But anyway.
I saw it for a second. Yeah.
There he is. See him pink? And my phone's been in water. And it's made it. So the battery will mark if the phone was submerged at any point or if it got wet inside. It has one inside too. So if you try to trick your provider and you take it to them, they'll let you know that there was water in there without a problem. There's no way to take that off. After it gets wet, it stays pink. It's usually white if it hasn't gotten wet. Any questions? So when a user gives you a phone or a mobile device, sorry, excuse me, that's one of the indicators that you can use, obviously, if you can take out the battery and look at it. Any questions? Next slide. Slide 16. Lázaro.
All right. Do you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Number 10, apps not loading. Apps are available through a purchase at either the website or store, such as Apple's App Store or Google Play. Even if the app is free, it is still considered a purchase. After the purchase, the app is downloaded to install the device. Failed download. One problem users may experience is that apps may not load after downloading it. The simple solution is to first check that the program actually downloaded. If it did not, it may be a download issue, and re-downloading the app might resolve the issue. If the app downloaded but still not installed or load, first try to reset the device. Restart device. If it still won't deploy, uninstall and reinstall the app. Too much data usage. Another issue with apps is that some use too much data as they run in the background. Restricting these apps to only run with Wi-Fi would limit the overuse of data.
Cool. Thank you. Any questions in reference to apps not loading? Pretty sure everybody's played around with their phone and one time or other had issues installing an app and had it to reinstall it or restart the device itself. Doubts? Teresa, can you help us out with the next slide?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Slow performance. When performance slows over time, system performance can be increased by freeing up RAM space by deleting apps and programs no longer being used. Solutions for laptops. Check the mobile device for virus or malware programs that have slowed the system. Try defraying the system as well as using disk cleanup. Check the system for possibly upgrading the RAM or hard drive. Update the system. Use misconfig to disable programs that are starting when the device powers on. Solutions for smartphones. Stop background apps that may be using too much system resources. Be sure to update programs. Turn off background services that always run, including Google services, Maps, Drive, etc.
Okay. What's defragging system mean, Justin?
It's where you defragment your hard drive, so you try to condense all the data from being scattered everywhere into just one section of the drive.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. So Pablo, in reference to upgrading the RAM or hard drive, why would I be checking the hard drive for slow performance when they're mentioning RAM? What do they mean by that? Updating RAM or hard drive? What could be my problem on either?
Either they're not compatible or they're not big enough. There's not enough space.
Okay, I'll take the latter. There's not enough space in memory or not enough space in hard drive. We already obviously checked to make sure there's no malware issues, right? So we're going a little bit deeper. They're saying to defrag system. That didn't work. So they're saying, okay, let's maybe update the RAM or check if the RAM may be needed, hard drive. Now that one's a careful one because we got problems with the OS needing so much space on the hard drive. The OS needs so much RAM for it to run. So we need to make sure that also we don't wind up purchasing stuff that we can't use, right? Because if I upgrade the RAM and I have a 32-bit operating system and I just did, I don't know how many gigs of sticks in there, if it's past a certain amount, it's not going to work. What exactly would that amount be, DeAndre? You know how many gigs, if I'm on a 32-bit operating system, how many gigs of RAM can I put maximum? Or megabytes? I don't know, you tell me.
You'd want to put like more, right?
Correct, but what is a maximum a 32-bit operating system will allow me to put in? It was 4 gigabytes. And if I recall correctly, that's because it is 2 to the 32. You are. So if you go and you put 2 binary to the 32, it gives you 4 gigs. This is 4 gigs. Here's a comma, here's a comma, here's a comma. So 4 billion, because 4 million is megabytes, right? So 4 gigs. That's one way of knowing. So now, How do I know how much does a 64-bit? Well, I just told you, right? 64-bit operating system. Bits are 2, right? Binary. Yeah, one quad, I don't know what that number is. It's obviously 19 zeros after there. It's a lot. So you got much more here compared to the limitation that a 32-bit operating system gives you. Any questions?
Related to hard drives, is there like a certain amount, like RPM wise, or like it doesn't matter what the RPMs are, like on the.
RPM, the faster the RPM, the faster the hard drive, and obviously you need to check
But there's no like max, like it could only do this much.
the operating system doesn't care about
Okay.
speed. No, it doesn't check for speed because it doesn't know the variance between SSD or an IDE. It's not gonna, I mean, obviously it recognizes it in per se to be able to use it with drivers and stuff like that, but it's not, the RPMs is not a compatibility issue for it. It's just the faster the hard drive, the spins, the faster you can get to the data. On the IDE, I'm sorry, on the hard drives, the HDD ones, not the SDD, because those don't spin, right?
Yeah.
Any other questions or doubts? All right. So next one in here is MS config. MS config. What's MS config? Would I use that on an Apple? MS config?
No. Microsoft config.
Yeah. Microsoft configurator. MS config. As simple as that. You should be able to come into the system configure. There we are. I can check what's booting up, what services come up. This used to be something else. Does anybody know where this used to be? What used to control this stuff? It's config sys and auto exec. Those were the two files that were used before to be able to configure what's coming up. And in here, you have a diagnostic. So the next time it starts up, you can actually select how it's going to come up. You have the boot of what OS you want. So let's say if you had actually several OSs, you could actually choose from here. Your services, as I stated before, which you, and your startup now has been moved to, for some forsaken reason, your task manager. That's something you need to know for 1002, not right now, but it's been moved over here. Any question on MS config? Reference to stopping background apps. What do they mean by that? Jordan, what do they mean by stopping my, oh, sorry, go ahead, DeAndre.
I was gonna say maybe the background apps are using like too much of the processing power.
Mm-hmm. They're using data and processing while you're there trying to use something because you decided to install, not you, I'm not taking it personal with you, DeAndre, don't come over here and hurt me. Because you installed Facebook or any of these little fancy apps that are in there, even your bank and some other apps that you install, like DeAndre said, they start using your processing power without you or the user themselves noticing that this is happening. So there is some features on these mobile units or mobile devices that allow you to actually hit a little battery icon. And inside that feature, it'll tell you to kill all background. Some people like to install extra apps on their phones, but believe it or not, your phone comes with all those features already. So if you hit the little icon that has the battery and hold it down, after like a second or two, it should come up with a screen telling you, hey, what exactly do you want to do? Can you see my screen? No, I have to do one of these little tricks, huh? Can you see it? Can you see me now? There we are. So now here, there's an extra little button that says to kill all my apps. Right now, I have Facebook, like 5 or 6 apps. So I hit my little power button, save power. Now he's gonna go and kill everything that's in there, all the background apps that are in there. And just by doing that, I have now raised one whole day of battery on this phone. Questions? Doubts? Next slide. Freezing. Who haven't I tortured for a while? Let's see. And survey says, all right, Jordan, I was picking on you earlier, so I might as well pick on you now.
Right now my computer just hard crashed, so I'm trying to bring up the Nearpod. I can't read it on my phone.
All
It's
right.
really big.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Didn't notice. I did notice your screen was a little bit different. I couldn't see any more drifting going on. Wonder why it crashed.
It's almost Tuesday. That's all I gotta say.
All right, Lázaro, help him out now that you're unmuted there. Slide 18.
I got it. 12. Freezing. A frozen system can occur for many of the same reasons mentioned in the topic of slow performance. If the device is completely frozen and unresponsive, completely shut down by holding the power button until it shuts off. After reboot, clear the app's memory cache and clear the temporary files. If the device froze while texting, enable airplane mode, then disable it. This can force the device to reestablish the connection.
Thank you. Any question on freezing? Is it true that I could actually put it in the microwave to get it dry?
Yes.
No, don't try it.
Oh, for that wet thing, Apple does have it. It's for the SIM cards that.
Is the
If
SIM
it's
card
wet,
in? If it's
yeah,
wet,
it's in.
you know it has an
Yeah, in the SIM
indicator,
card
but-
slot.
Yeah, but it's not on the battery. Yeah, it's on the side. That
You just
little.
got a weird way to look at it.
Yeah, correct. That's where they hide it. Just like they have it in the inside for the actual regular Android phone, that's where they have theirs hidden. In case if you swap out the battery on an Android phone, they have another way of marking it in the inside. So don't even try it. It's not gonna work. All right. 13. Carlos. Slide
Unable to decrypt.
Mhm.
13, right? All right,
Yeah.
19, my bad. Okay. Unable to decrypt email. Viewing emails through a browser on a mobile device can be challenging because at times the mobile version of the browser cannot locate the certificate and corresponding key required to decrypt the message. Assuming the system is kept up to date with the updates, solutions can include only view emails in the app from the email providers such as Google Mail or Yahoo. Use a smart card with the key that is needed to decrypt. Make sure the SMIME is enabled on the device is checked.
Okay. Any questions or doubts on the encryption, decryption issue that you may have on some of these mobile devices? Okay. Overheating. Jordan, I think you're back.
Overheating issues can arise if the mobile device's vents are being blocked, if the system is being overly taxed by excessive gaming, or if the device is being used while it's charging. Solutions to prevent overheating include never put a laptop on a bed or other soft surface that may block the vents. Try to keep the device elevated while sitting on a flat, hard surface to help venting underneath. Keep the vents free of debris and dust by using a specialized vacuum. Reduce the device's use while the charging cycle is being performed.
Ooh, what was that last one there? Thought I was joking, guys. Reduce the device use while charging cycle is being performed.
That's
Do
actually what my
not
computer
force
just crashed.
charge your devices. And please do not suffocate your devices. You don't understand how many users I've seen where they bring me a laptop where I can tell the reason why obviously now it's overheating every 5 seconds is because at home they put it on their pillows. Instead of a specialized pillow, I think it was Lázaro that told us there is some little devices that help keep it cool. They actually suffocated their own little computer. And then it wondered why the poor little baby, if you don't put, sorry, that was my phone. If you don't put thermal paste, right, Lázaro? What's going to happen?
Yeah, I did lots of stuff. I learned, though, the hard way.
So don't suffocate them, and try putting a little bit of thermal paste when you install your new one. That's all I could tell you. Issue 15 on slide 21. Christina.
No sound from speakers. If the speakers are not producing sound, first make sure the volume is turned up. After making sure of this, check the device's settings to be sure sound is enabled. Check sound on other apps to be sure it is not a specific app issue. Restart the device to clear any conflicts that may be happening. Check for updates for the sound card or integrated sound. Last, after backing up the device, attempt a system reset to restore to factory settings.
Okay. Any questions, doubts on no sound? Okay. Next slide. GPS not functioning. Alexa.
If the location server does not appear to be working even after a restart, then first make sure the location service is enabled before trying another further solution. Check to ensure the device has either cellular or Wi-Fi connection. Location service doesn't work without one of those two enabled. Be sure the user is not converting the antenna, since this would affect the performance. Also, some windshields have US protection, which can block signals from the satellite.
Thank you. Question, what do they mean by check to ensure the device has either cellular or Wi-Fi connection? Why wouldn't location services work if we said GPS is supposedly global positioning services?
I'm guessing it's because they also can use Wi-Fi to help pinpoint where it is. And if it's not available for signal, they can use Wi-Fi maybe.
What does GPS give me?
Gives
GPS.
you a closer approximate where you are.
Okay. So it's giving me, though, do you guys know exactly how it works? Let me rephrase that so I can make sure we fully understand what GPS does.
Like the 3 satellites,
Correct.
triangulate.
And it gives it an answer. And the answer, it's in what?
Where it is in the triangle when it's looking at the receivers and then looking at the distance from them. And that's how it can pinpoint where it is.
Great. So now let's pretend we're military and you know exactly where you are. How can you tell me what your GPS coordinates are?
If you don't have GPS?
Verbally, how can you tell me what your GPS coordinates are? You found out what your GPS coordinates are. What are GPS coordinates?
Your latitude and your longitude numbers.
Correct. So that's the information that what the GPS portion is giving them. As for any part of the location services, which is a little bit more information, would be the maps, to be able to update your map and where you are on that map. So now I have my coordinates, is great and dandy, but how does that relate to the actual location on the map? Has to be able to refresh your map, move it around. All that information is not in your phone, is it? Is the world's map inside your phone? Versus if you guys ever used a TomTom or any of these other devices that are out there before the phone came out. I don't know if the TomTom exists anymore, but a lot of these GPS devices, you only had a built-in map. So basically, even the cars, some of the GPSs, you have to update the maps because they don't have it. You have to manually update the maps on it. So without this extra bit of information, the GPS is not going to be able to correlate the actual number that we said, right? The longitude, latitude, spot of where you are, your coordinates, to the actual location on the map. You need location services to be turned on also, so that it turns on the feature of it looking up with GPS, everything. Now location services, it's all turned off. Both the Wi-Fi portion where it's looking up and the cellular, and obviously the portion where it's getting the coordinates. That's how you make sure your phone doesn't continuously talk to the satellites. Just turn off location service. That's another thing that you'll notice that's in the background of your phones, and a lot of people leave it on. Location services drains your battery. It's constantly updating up there. Even though you don't have the application open of Google Maps, it is updating itself and coordinating all the refreshing every time you're moving from one side of the city to the other, even if you're in the same spot, just refreshing all the information. Any questions, doubts? Everybody understand the UV protection on windshields and how it can block the signals? Have you ever had that issue? When you're in your car, if you have very dark extra tints and you go to the back, especially the ones that are in the back seat, and you try to use location services, some users experience issues establishing an actual connection because that film is stopping the signal to go through. Next slide, 23. Justin.
Swollen batteries. Always use the appropriate power charger. Do not use chargers that are not rated for the power of the device, even if the charging plugs are interchangeable. Don't leave the device plugged in all the time. This is particularly an issue for laptop users who primarily use their laptop at home. When the device is plugged in all the time, the battery does not have an opportunity to exercise its capacity. NiCad batteries build up a memory which can prevent the battery from offering a full charge. So fully discharge the battery will prevent the memory buildup. Keep the device or battery stored in a cool, dry environment. Occasional use in the sun is fine, but do not store a mobile device or smartphone in a humid environment or in a hot car.
You know how many people go to the mall and then they leave their briefcase in the back of their car in the trunk? Oh, that's just full torture onto these devices they're not meant to do. Next slide. Any questions on that slide? Sorry, I kind of skipped over it real quick. On the swollen battery, questions or doubts?
Don't look at me, Diego.
Yeah. So I only thought about you leaving it inside the car. That's all I thought about. Next
No,
slide. Christina, help us out here with slide 24, issue 17.
Batteries experiencing short life or not holding a charge. Reasons a battery can be drained include keeping the brightness too high, constantly enabled wireless connections or location services, 3, constantly enabled background data services. Solutions for keeping the battery from draining quickly include turn off some services, brightness, wireless, location services when not in use. Set the mobile device to airplane mode and manually connect to each service when needed. If airplane mode does not help resolve the issue, the battery life may be at the end. There are a limited number of recharges, so if the battery dies suddenly right after a charge, it may be time to replace. Safety reminder. Use care when handling a charged battery. particularly when placing it inside a pocket, purse, or other container that with metal objects. Contact with metal objects could complete an electrical circuit, short circuit, causing the battery to become very hot, which could cause damage or injury.
Thank you. Any questions or doubts? Okay, next slide. Solve that problem. All right, guys, I'm going to break you actually into two groups. And then you'll have 10 minutes basically in there to play around with our little form that you should have. Hopefully all of you already download it. Stop share here. All right, let's go then to the next slide. Any questions on the activity itself or doubts? Do you think it was self-explanatory? Did anyone have any issues with any of the definitions and or solutions of them? Okay, slide 26 is our question time. Exiting ticket. Justin, question number 1, please.
Number 1. All right, question number 1. What is the main reason for not keeping a mobile device plugged in all the time? That would be a battery can swell and not allow to exercise its capacity.
Okay. Everyone agree? Yes, no, maybe so. Okay, yeah, it's A. Battery can swell. That is correct. Number 2, Jordan. I can't hear you.
No, I was saying, give me a second because I was still working.
Oh, okay,
on it.
okay. Yeah, I didn't hear you.
Which component on a smartphone requires pairing with another device? Bluetooth.
Everyone agree? Bluetooth?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, next one, Paulo.
All right. All right, we got, what should you do if a mobile device is using too much data? Back up the data and application.
If the mobile device is using too much data, do we want to back up the data?
Like to empty it out, no? Or am I understanding this wrong?
Back up the data would mean that I'm just making a copy of it somewhere else in all of the applications.
Oh, okay.
I think he's talking about cellular data, not
Okay, so then
storage.
Yes. I'm sorry, it would be which one?
A?
Yes, restrict the culprit apps to only run over Wi-Fi connection. In the case that we said that a lot of these companies do not like paying for unlimited data per se, so they get the cheapest plan possible. So then restricting the culprit to only run on Wi-Fi would obviously alleviate that issue. Thank you. Next question, Alexa.
Which steps should you take if a mobile device is experiencing short battery life? A, disable any unnecessary apps running in the background.
Okay, does everybody agree, eh? Disable any unnecessary?
I agree.
All right. And number 5, Daniel.
Nearpod.
So a He goes, a laptop are you working on has several dead pixels on the display. How can you fix this?
So you have several dead pixels. What are dead pixels?
I was kind of out of this because I was trying to like reset my whole Wi-Fi. I've been having like issues this whole morning.
Not a problem. Let's think about other display issues that we've looked at per se, not on laptops, but on normal computers. What would be a dead pixel? That goes out to the group, anyone who would like to shout out on that.
It's a pixel that doesn't work anymore
On
Black.
where? On the computer?
Yeah, no.
on the monitor.
On the monitor, right? So that means it's not turning on and off anymore, right? So it's completely dead. Will be a black little square in the middle of the, or somewhere in the screen, and it says several. So if I have several little sporadic little black marks all over the screen, what can I do to fix this? That is correct. Replace the display, right? Yeah, there's nothing that I can do in reference to that. Now, if it was like smudgy or the colors look weird, I can do one thing with the old liquid, with the old CRT monitors, right? The catheter radion tube, and that was degaussing it, right? But that would be because it's kind of weird colors and stuff, and it's smudged, or maybe something's getting burnt in, so I degauss it with a big magnet, or it has sometimes the feature itself to go and degauss the actual screen. Any questions or doubts? Okay, this is pretty much the end of this session here. There's no questions.